Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast is How Can We Get Off the Wheel of Stress and Anxiety? And this has been on my mind lately since I went to the doctor with my mother a few weeks ago. I'm happy to say that my mother just turned 90 last weekend, and she is a survivor of breast cancer. So about 8 months ago, we went to the doctor and they found something suspicious on her breast, but they were not that worried. So when we went to the breast doctor a few weeks ago, it was for a follow-up exam. While we were waiting for the results, my mother became very anxious, worrying that she might have breast cancer. So when the doctor came in, she told my mother that everything seemed fine. And she said, well, you should decide whether or not you want to keep getting mammograms, because you might get to a point that it's not worth to do anymore. She says, so you always have to consider whether or not you're in good enough health to keep checking. And immediately after the doctor left, I heard my mother started to say how aggravated she was, what the doctor said, and I gently tried to bring her back to the moment. She had just gotten news she didn't have breast cancer. And we had a really fun day planned in the city, which she doesn't come in as much because she has a walker. We were going to a ridiculous lunch filled with caviar, and then we were going to visit one of her old friends, and then we were going to go to this old-time Spanish restaurant in the village, and we were really supposed to have a great day. And you could understand why my mother was being pulled away from the moment, because she started to think about the future. And that's why I tell this story today, is that we are always being invited to go on that wheel, always being invited to leave the moment for something that could go wrong in the future. And there my mother had the choice. Did she want to stay present with the news that she didn't have breast cancer and that she had this great day planned with her daughter? Or was she going to start thinking about 6 months from now, a year from now, whether or not she would be healthy enough to get mammograms and seek treatment if needed? And again, I'm not minimizing the situation, but we are always in this situation. We are always in the situation where the future is pulling on the moment, and the reason feels so justified. It feels so valid. How can I be happy today when this is happening tomorrow? How could I be happy today when this could lead to something horrible? How can I be happy today if something is not exactly as I imagined it to be? And yet here we are with a life to live. Here we are with the moment. Here we are with something in front of us to also enjoy. My mother did calm down. And when we got to the last place, when we got to the Spanish restaurant and she was more relaxed, we actually talked about it. And she said to me, it felt like a death sentence that if my breast cancer came back, no one would help me. And I had the utmost compassion for that. And I said to her, I understand how you're feeling, but it didn't really mean anything what the doctor said. This is about your well-being and your health. And if you're well, then you're going to keep getting mammograms to make sure you're okay. But I said, this is where we are today. And let's not have an experience that we're not there yet. And there was nothing to do. Sometimes you're in the moment and you see something about the future and you could do something in present-based mindset. Meaning you don't like what's going on in the world. You don't like how the laws are changing. You don't like what's going on with the insurance companies. You don't like how a friend is treating you. You don't like where a problem you have could lead to the future. You don't like something that's going on with your health and you want to change it. In a present-based mindset, you can take action. Meaning that in this moment, I will do X, Y, and Z to try to create a better future. But at the same time, keep your emotions present. Keep your mind present. Keep everything about you present. Do not go into a future that you haven't lived yet. It is a slippery slope. There is no way to manage your emotions because there's no place to ground yourself because it hasn't happened yet. And that's what a lot of people are doing today in our society. They don't like what the future is going to look like. So emotionally, they're living in the future instead of in the present. And when you do that, you miss out on what is exactly in front of you in the moment. Sometimes there's joy. Sometimes there's happiness. Sometimes there's sadness. Sometimes there's a problem. Whatever it is, your present-based mindset will be your grounding technique, will be your best friend, will be that mindset that allows you to take in the moment for what it is, to not resist, to accept, to be grateful, to enjoy, or to solve. But always ask, where is my mind? Where is my emotions right now? My mother had a choice that day, and so do all of us. There's no reason to fall apart for something that hasn't happened yet. And we also have to remember the guiding principles of uncertainty. If we want our lives to change, it has to happen in the unknown. We always look at the unknown as our enemy. We look at today and often we think things are bad, they're never going to get better. This could lead to something negative, and we forget in the field of uncertainty there are infinite possibilities. And it is in this moment, this present mindset, that we make the decisions to create a better future. And nobody knows what's going to happen next, thank goodness. So do not give your energy away to a future that hasn't happened yet. Even if it's likely, stay in your present-based mindset where you will be strong, you will be most open-minded, you will be most solution-oriented, and you will also be living the beauty of your life as it's happening. Do not give it away. Your mind and your thoughts can be a very tricky place that makes you believe that you can't live this life, that things can never change, that things cannot get better, and that's not true. Nobody knows for sure. Just like the future is not certain, neither are your fears and your thoughts and your worries. And remember that practice of maybe. You ask yourself, are my fears and my worries and my doubts, are they absolute? And the beautiful thing is, nothing beyond this moment is absolute. So what else is there? And you write out these gorgeous maybe statements. Maybe I can enjoy today. Maybe my thoughts are not true. Maybe there is something I could do today to change what will happen in the future. Maybe there's something left for me to experience in this moment. Maybe everything could still be okay. Don't forget the maybe. And I know everybody jokes about, well, what about the maybe not? We're already living in the maybe not. We're already living in the space where we believe that life can't get better. But in the field of the unknown, all is possible. Infinite field of possibilities. And things that you like, things you desire, things you dream of exist in that realm if you stay on the playing field. And it all comes back to a present-based mindset. You ask yourself, what is happening in this moment? And for my mom, in that moment, she did not have breast cancer. And all she knew is that she was going for a ridiculous caviar lunch. She was going to see her friend, and then we were going to go to a Spanish restaurant in the village. That was present-based mindset. Did the doctor give something for her to think about in the future? Yes, but it wasn't for now. So the best she could have done in that moment said, I am not going to give up the pleasure of the moment, the pleasure of being with my daughter, the pleasure of being in today. And maybe I'll be well enough to take that mammogram in 6 months and a year and 2 years, and maybe healthcare will keep changing. Who knows what will happen next? But I'm not going to give up today for tomorrow, especially when there's nothing I can do. And again, sometimes you're faced with something that you can do something in the moment. Again, if you don't like what's going on in the world. But don't give up hope, and don't give up maybe, and don't give up your present mindset. And that's when we get on the wheel. We're always being invited on the wheel of the future. And we call it a wheel because it goes round and round, and there's never an answer because you're not in the future yet. And that's why it's filled with anxiety. You're living something that hasn't happened yet. There's no ground, and there's no place for you to stand, and there's no decision to make. So walk yourself back to the now, to this moment. Get off the wheel and stand on your own 2 feet in this moment. Ask yourself, where am I in this moment? What is happening? What is now? What does present-based thinking mean to me? I know uncertainty is my best friend, because if I want my life to change, it has to happen in the unknown. I know life has maybe. I have my maybe practice. What do I need to do right now in this moment to take care of my responsibilities, to create the future that I want, and to enjoy what's in front of me? You can do this. Do not live on that wheel. That's not where you will be creative. That's not where you will be happy. That's not where you will create the beautiful, gorgeous life that is yours to live. And remember, for all you know, maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can email me at Allison@AllisonCarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe, A Year Without Men, Maybe Everything's Okay, A Parent's Guide to Less Stress and Worry, you could find them in all major bookstores and online retailers. If you'd like to buy my Maybe cards or my Maybe journal, they're available on Amazon, Etsy, and my Stan store. And most of all, if you like this podcast, I hope you subscribe and leave a comment.